all this, the immigration fight and more, let's bring in Washington Post columnist and Fox News contributor Marc Thiessen. Marc, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sandra.
So we await Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, the Vice President Mike Pence, meeting with Mexican officials at the White House. The team's getting together. Will they be able to work anything out before those tariffs take effect?
Well, let's hope so, because the tariffs would be devastating for the American economy. But let's start with the premise that President Trump is absolutely right to be frustrated with the crisis at the border. Anyone who saw that video of 1,000 people sneaking through a fence and still says that we don't need a border wall has lost their minds. And the reality is that in April, 109,000 people crossed the border illegally, were apprehended crossing the border illegally. That's the highest level in 12 years. And in the past, it used to be young single men. Now it's families with children. So the Border Patrol is completely overwhelmed. If people don't think the tariffs are the right solution, which I agree they're not the right solution, they're not giving President Trump the tools he needs. He asked Congress a month ago for $4.5 billion in emergency border funds, which didn't include money for a wall. Congress has refused to act. He's asked Congress to change our asylum laws to make it harder to address this crisis. Congress has refused to act. So this is the wrong tool, but he's turning to the tool he has because Congress won't give him the tools that he needs.
That is what you are writing about, published in the Washington Post. Marc, you have the headline here, tariffs won't solve our border crisis, but Democrats denied Trump the tools he needs. In that, you write, tariffs are the wrong tool to address this crisis, but Congress has denied Trump the right tools. If Democrats in Congress won't give him the instruments he needs, Trump feels he has to act with the one he has, even if it is the blunt instrument of a tariff. I mean, that makes it pretty clear if that is the president's strategy.
Yeah, and look, the tariffs are the wrong tool. I mean, one of the things we need to keep in mind is that the people who are rooting most for a trade war with Mexico are the communist regime in Beijing, because President Trump rightly has started a trade war with China, which, by the way, unlike Mexico tariffs, has broad bipartisan support because China is stealing our intellectual property and treating us unfairly in the global trading system. But China wants us to impose tariffs on Mexico for a simple reason: it'll increase the pain on American consumers. Because right now, China and Mexico make a lot of the same products. So if we have a trade war with China and there's a 25% tax Americans have to pay on Chinese-made products, they can avoid that tax by buying Mexican-made products. But if President Trump starts putting 5, 10, 15, 20, 25% tariff on Mexican products, that closes that off, and now the pain is increased because there's nowhere else to go to get those kinds of products. Our other trading partners don't make them. So this actually undermines our trade war with China, which everybody, right, left, center, agrees that we have to win because China is the right adversary. Mexico is not our adversary. We need to get Mexico to do more to crack down on the border, and hopefully this threat will get them to do it. But we don't want a two-front war. We want to win the trade war with China, and that's the priority, and these tariffs will hurt our ability to do that.
We'll see where things go today. Some walking into that meeting have said publicly they feel optimistic that they can, especially Mexico, work something out in these discussions before the tariffs begin. But Marc, if you could, before we let you go, look back the last few days, the president's visit to the UK, how it's gone as he now makes his way to Ireland.
I think it's been an incredibly successful visit. I think the British royal family has treated him, the British government has treated him with enormous respect, and I think they're going to get a lot done. He's talking about offering a free trade agreement to Great Britain if they move out of the European Union. So both on substance and in honoring the history of those great patriots from both of our countries who fought in World War II, it's been terrific. To the extent that there's been any controversy, it's largely been started by the British side, and not by the royals, but by the politicals. You had the mayor of London take a shot at him, and Trump responded. You had Jeremy Corbyn, the opposition leader, not show up for the state dinner out of protest. I mean, that's not showing disrespect to Donald Trump, the man. It's showing disrespect to the office he occupies and the country he represents. You're not there to honor the individual of the president. You're there to honor the special relationship with the United States. So I think actually, to the extent that there's been any controversy, it's been on the British side. But the royal family has been terrific, and it's been a great visit.
And now off to Ireland he goes. We'll be following all of that through the next couple of days. Marc Thiessen, nice to see you, and thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Thanks for having me.
About 10 minutes.